What should be our attitude, our posture, as we respond to the second Duggar disaster? In a sense, I think it should be a little different than the first go-around that we had with Josh. He was a boy who did sinful things. He then says he made a profession of faith, and then he appeared to be walking in sanctification. And so we jumped in and said, we defend him. That's just a conversion story. Oh, I know his sin was maybe a little bit more extreme than some, but just the same, that's the gospel. Such were all of us. We were all sinners of all shapes, stripes, and sizes. And Josh was no different. So we jumped in and we defended him and said, no, you're confused. He's not a hypocrite. He's just a Christian. That happened before he got saved. Unfortunately, being a member of Ashley Madison for a couple of years, being addicted to pornography for we don't know yet how many years, he is now a different story because those sins happened after his profession of faith. So we're dealing with just a different approach on the story, and I think it demands a slightly different posture. This time, rather than correcting the world, I think overall we need to agree with the world. You're right. He's a hypocrite. That's not how Christians behave. Now, we're going to deal with the subject of how a true and a false convert behaves, but we can agree with the world that that is hypocrisy. What is a hypocrite? Somebody who says this, but they live like this. They profess this, but they behave like that. That's a hypocrite. And Josh, he admitted that he's the world's biggest hypocrite. Now, I don't know if he's the world's biggest, but he's definitely in the pantheon. He was a hypocrite by his own profession. And so rather than, okay, world, hey, watch what you, or hey, well, we're going to teach a really good theology. You know what, world? You're absolutely right. This is a really ugly story. Our posture with the world should be, I think, quite meek and humble. But we need to also speak the truth in love. I mean, this is always our guiding principle, but we want to be careful that as we're being really loving now and kind of, you're right, you got us on the ropes here, we still have to speak the truth. We can't just say, okay, now we're not going to talk about Jesus being the way, the truth, the life. No, we have to still, no matter what our posture is in a particular situation, speak truth in love. And if I could encourage you, when you talk about these issues around the water cooler, be thinking gospel. That is how these stories can be used. Think gospel. Now, I'm not going to tell you when somebody says this, then you say that. Just think gospel. All right, all right, let's give this a go. This is such a mistake. Hey, Adrian, did you want to ask me about Josh Duggar?
Tell me about Josh. What about Josh Duggar?
Big Macs are on sale this week at McDonald's.
That made no sense about what I was asking you.
But
I was asking you what about.
But see, that's what I was thinking about McDonald's.
Have you heard about?
You know what? Let me tell you though. I know that this story is the whole scandal in Ashley Madison.
Right.
But let me tell you about Big Macs and Quarter Pounders and French fries. Now, okay, I told you that would be a disaster. Now, why was I insisting on steering the conversation toward the Golden Arches? Because that's what I'm thinking of. We should be thinking about the gospel. Somebody's going to, hey, what about the Josh Duggar story? Be thinking, how do I get to the gospel? How do I get this person to understand that they need to repent and put their trust in Jesus? I want to steer things toward what's important, and that is the gospel. And at the same time, being willing to explain the difference between a true and a false convert, because there is a difference. Without, remember, rendering a judgment on Josh. That's not our role. We're the body, not the church. It's their job to make that declaration. But even so, because Josh, by his own behavior and admission, has called into question his profession of faith, we can at least use that to talk about the difference. There are people who profess to be believers in Jesus Christ, but they do not possess a saving faith. And we can use this to discuss that without trashing Josh. And finally, judge truth, not Josh, should be our message to the world. If you're watching this and you're thinking this whole Josh Duggar thing, that just undermines all of Christianity. Don't judge Jesus. Don't judge the object of our faith. based on the behavior of some of his followers, whether true or otherwise.